Okay, so situation still happens. A lot of clubs are still out there talking. When are we coming back? There's a big Premier League meeting on Friday where they're going to discuss the return. Obviously, here in the UK, we're on lockdown until May 3rd at the earliest. But the odd thing is, and we've talked about it before, we even had our pal Daniel G on to talk about it. Now it seems that several outlets reporting that clubs are saying, wait, we can't really play beyond June 30th because this whole contract cliff edge is a real problem. For those who don't know, June 30th, contracts expires. A whole bunch of players go out of contract. FIFA has said, well, you can extend them if you like. Yeah, but the guys have to agree. And they may not agree because they would have 101 reasons why they might not want to sign a 1 month or 2 month contracts. Clubs may not want them. Also, you have the problem of all the players who are on loan. The loan deals end June 30th. And UK employment law, in this case, or national employment law, that is what governs these agreements. So clubs are now saying, wait, should we maybe just wrap this up by June 30th if we can?
Yeah, which, again, we've said it many times on the show. Ideally, that's the best of all scenarios, that you can all finish by June the 30th, not just in England, every league in Europe.
But you won't be able to play out all the fixtures if you finish by June 30th.
Exactly. And again, I think that there's also a possibility to find an agreement with your league, with your federation, with the players that are either on loan or off contracts on June the 30th to extend that. I mean, the Champions League and the Europa League are clearly going to be finished after June the 30th. So what? If you're playing the Champions League and the Europa League and you've got players on loan or players whose contract finishes in June the 30th, you just give up on them and say, well, we're going to continue the Champions League and the Europa League without them. This is crazy. So I'm sure the consensus would be try to get that extended until the season ends, domestically and in a European way. And I know you're putting a face because I know it's not easy.
No, I'm completely.
FIFA agree there's a way to do it, and then finish when you can.
I'm completely against this. I don't think people kind of realize the absolute chaos of trying to renegotiate. I think there's going to be close to 100 players in the Premier League alone in this situation. Goodness knows how many more in the lower leagues. Trying to do this just so you can finish this season, thereby potentially also screwing up next season. I just don't see how it can happen because you're going to have individual cases of people who are going to say, no, why should I sign a 2-month extension with my club where I could get injured or whatever, and then screw up my possibility of free agency and continuing to get a new deal next year or for the next couple of years. I don't get this at all. FIFA have been extraordinarily vague on this. What they've said is, well, if they don't extend the loans, then they could go back to their parent clubs, but they couldn't play, which means the parent clubs would then have to pay them. It's just so messy. And what bugs me a little bit, which is why, again, reportedly, there's a number of clubs are saying, guys, this is stupid. We can't do it. It's a big waste of our time. But what I find extraordinary is that it's almost as if they're only realizing this now. And we're getting reports that this isn't even on the agenda in Friday's meeting. Well, resolving this situation with the out-of-contract players has to be on the agenda if you want to play past June 30th.
Okay, so let's say the season has to finish on June the 30th. What's the point of resuming, let's say, on June the 5th? So what, you will play 4 more games? May as well not play at all. What's the point of playing 4 more games? If you can't finish the whole season and have the last 9 games or 10 for City and Arsenal, if you can't play those 9 games in full, why would you just go back to playing and take those risks of playing even behind closed doors for 3 or 4 games or 5 games? It's stupid. May not play as well at all.
Well, I think the reason you would play, and I've said this before, and I'll keep saying this. First of all, for the lower divisions, for most clubs, they shouldn't come back playing at all. It doesn't make any sense because they will only lose money if they go back and keep playing. The reason you keep playing is so that you can get the TV money, either all of it or most of it, right, that's due to you. But that really only moves a needle in the Premier League and maybe a little bit in the Championship. Below that, those dudes, I don't think they should play at all, except possibly if you have certain issues to resolve like promotion, relegation. I think we're much better off giving those clubs the option of playing and sitting down around a table and working out a deal. Maybe it's some sort of playoff. Maybe you just play the games to decide relegation places or European places. Maybe you create a mini playoff. Maybe you come up with a solution like that. Because if you extend past June 30th, leaving aside all the logistical difficulties, the contracts, the health situation, the fact that you're not going to know if you're even able to do it probably for another 3 or 4 weeks, leaving all that aside, you're screwing up next season. You're hurting yourself next season and hurting yourself financially. It just doesn't make any sense to me. And at the very least, they should be talking about this. And the impression is thus far they haven't. So personally, I'm glad that there are, if these reports are true, that their clubs are saying, wait a minute, how are we going to solve this June 30th thing? What is the actual plan other than this vague, let's play at St. George's, let's play at Wembley? It just seems nonsensical to me.
No, I agree. I don't think you would screw much next season if you started at the end of August instead of the beginning of August. I don't think that would be screwing it. If you have to start next season in October, then okay. But if you manage somehow, like some leagues have planned to already, to start 2021 season at the end of August instead of the beginning, I don't think that change is a big deal. But I agree with you. I just don't think then don't go back playing again. If you can't finish the season by June the 30th and really you can't go beyond, then don't play again. Even in the Premier League, there's no point playing 3 games in the Premier League and putting
there is a
health
point
of people at risk.
There is a point, because playing a few games in the Premier League might mean that you get, 200-300 million pounds. So there is a point there, right?
From where? From who? What? It's behind closed doors, and we know now that the Sky and BT are not going to ask for the money to be paid back.
Let me put it this way: if we're sure that they're not going to ask for the money back, then I'm with you. I don't think you play at all. I think you resolve the issues, in different ways. I would like to see some football if you can play it safely.
Yeah, me too.
To resolve some of the big issues. But this idea that we have to play everything out and make players play like every other day or whatever this stupid stuff that's been suggested, I think that's silly.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.